Hello, my name is Vivi Kieffer and I welcome you to Aletheia Art. Today we will speak about women. Actually, I have with me Bronia Krause. She is Polish and she has lived during Auschwitz, during the Second World War.
Can't say a word. Anything, you made one move, you're punished. What is that to move? At that point, you just lay there. And every single day, I think it must have been 4 o'clock in the morning, they had a Zählappell. You know what a Zählappell is? They take you out and they put you in fives. They count you, God forbid if you should escape. Where would you escape to?
No.
First you had no strength. Then we got a soup, and how did we drink that soup? It was in a big pot, in a kettle, and we lined up with a little bit of a cup. And God forbid, when you were the first one, it was burning you that you couldn't even take it to your mouth.
Oh my goodness.
When you're the last one,
It
there
was
was hardly anything left. Right? And a piece of bread. This was 3 times a day, every single day.
And did you work at that
No,
time?
no work. At that point, you see, at this time, the Germans were worrying about themselves because the Russian front
We're moving
was coming closer.
to Silesia, right?
So they got rid, I believe, already of the crematoriums because they didn't want any evidence, whatever they got rid of. And with us, they didn't bother even to give us a number anymore.
You don't have any
No,
number?
no. We did not have any more numbers because they were in a hurry themselves. You understand? But still, the punishment was without a stop. And I was not liberated in Auschwitz because as the front was approaching,
They moved the prisoners.
they moved us. So we went on the Dead March. You heard of the Dead March?
That you were walking, right?
Walking from Auschwitz all the way to Bergen Belsen. You see, everybody knows
How many
about
kilometers?
Auschwitz, but Bergen Belsen was also a very bad concentration camp.
That's
So-
awful. You're going from one thing to the worst, then
To the other, without
even
shoes.
worse.
This was in the middle of December, January.
Oh my goodness.
Without shoes, we just
Without
walked.
shoes.
Sure, without shoes.
barefoot.
That's it, nothing. We just walk. And you know how inhuman you become that whoever couldn't walk
You
lied
left it
down
there.
and died. We just kept on walking.
My goodness.
Do you understand? We kept on walking. That's it. And I remember at one time in Auschwitz when Dr. Mengele, you heard of Dr. Mengele? He was the one who was having experimenting
Yeah.
with twins to see what's going on. And he would come to the selection, you know, he was wearing one of these...
Did you
what-
see him?
Yes, because when we came to be selected to go to the gas chambers or whatever, he would go, you to the left and you to the right. And at that point, I was still with my aunt. And I say to him, but I have a rupture here. I want to go with my aunt. Because I said yes, he said no. Right? I didn't even know where we're going, what we're doing. But I wanted to be with her.
Of course.
So she left, and who knows what happened to her, right?
You never found her back.
No. But we are listed in Auschwitz, you know, they have a list of the survivors. Or not the survivors, but who was there. So my aunt and I are listed in that,
Camp.
yes, because I went back to Auschwitz, which I'll tell you later. But anyway, at that point, we were just marching and marching, and I think you'll get a kick out of that one. We were singing the Marseillaise.
The Marseillaise.
The Marseillaise.
The French.
Yeah,
hymn.
da, 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 da. Yeah. Don't ask me why.
But wait, the guards made you sing that?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how we walked to the march to that thing, to that temple. Okay. So after that, we finally arrived. Well, you know, I don't know how many days these were anymore, but we arrived at Bergen Belsen. The conditions there were worse than an Auschwitz at that point. Only on the floor. We were lying down, one after the other. God forbid you needed to move. Everybody had to move, of course, right? No food, no nothing. And let me tell you something. I hate to bring this up, but this is part of it. I never knew that there are so many lies in this world. So many different kinds. There were white ones and black ones and red ones, you name it, and we were all with the lies.
Because you didn't clean, you couldn't change.
At this point, we were so...
It didn't matter anymore, right?
No, we didn't. Nobody even thought about life or anything.
Did you cry? Did you cry at
no,
that time?
When
did you stop crying?
There were no tears left, my dear.
But when did you stop? First year, second year, 2 days, 3 days?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I didn't even cry when my mother died. I called the doctor and he came. He says, "What do you want me to do? I have no medicine." And I was right there.
No medicine. So that's the doctor of the concentration camp.
This was in the ghetto still.
I was a ghetto, right?
Yeah, but you understand, human nature is very strong. Just like you take a child and you start to educate it with manners, table manners, other manners, be kind to this, it grows on you. And that works the other way too. It gets you to a point that you step right over the dead people and you don't even know it and you don't even care. Do you understand that? It took me years and years and years to come back to be human. In fact, I remember where we lived in Long Beach, many, many years after, and I had a friend of mine, and she was saying, "Oh, Bronia," she says, "there's something going on outside, somebody got hurt." And I said, "So what?" And it took years. And one day she says to me, we were playing cards in her house, and I heard a fire engine go by, and I said, "Gee, I wonder where the kids are," because they were already 13, 14, 2 blocks away. But every time the engine passed by, I had to look where they're going, right? So she says to me, "You know what, Bronia? I think you finally became human." That's what she said to me.
And your kids were 13 and 14.
Right.
And you had kids how many years after the concentration camp?
Well, we were married in 1948, and our kids were born in 1951. They're twins.
So 20 years afterwards, you
Yes.
began to have a normal nature, a human sense.
Yes, yes. But like I said, you could take a million histories and everybody will tell you something different from their own experience. And I would say not even the experience at the time, because you were too numb, you had no feelings. It's just after, when you still replay, you realize...
Do you replay still?
You replay it in your mind.
But do you still replay?
Oh yes, absolutely, yes. Let me put it this way. I will never forget, but I forgive. But I will never forget. This is something, when you go through a disaster, may it be an earthquake or a hurricane, a major disaster, and you do survive, you don't forget that experience. It stays there. But at the same time, you have good experiences that stay there too. You understand?
From those years, I don't know what kind of good experiences you could have.
Not at that time, but I always somehow, I think I'm going to be my own psychologist and psychiatrist, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I think that by nature, I was always, I always look for the positive. I was a positive person, even as a kid. You understand? In the house, we were always known to be respectful, to do charity, to treat people with respect like you would wish yourself. We were religious people. All these elements, are in you when you're a child. You may not realize when they're going to come in handy or not, but it stays with you. So that's the first thing. We were always taught to be kind.
the process, the Nuremberg process, and then they will be hanged in front of Auschwitz. What did you think by then? It was in 1948, I think. What did you think of this process and the measure that was taken?
Let me explain to you something. More current is the man who is 90 some odd years old, the German man who was a bookkeeper in Auschwitz. You know that story. And finally they want to punish him and all that. And I was against it. I called up. I says, if you're going to take this man who was forced to do whatever he did, then you have to take the whole German race and punish them. Why single out a man like that? What about all the other soldiers? What about the soldiers in every country that they do what you tell them to do?
Okay, but Huss was the one that was managing the concentration camp. Of course, he was doing it in the name of Hitler, but he was major responsible of all the atrocities.
I myself could not do it. I could not kill anybody. I'm sorry. I couldn't. As I told you, I would punish whatever punishment there should be, harsh punishment, yes. But killing, I could not do it. I'm sorry. I don't believe you.
In 1945, you're walking out of the...
But before you go to that, I walked with Anne Frank on that march. Well, everybody knows Anne Frank.
Of course.
Right?
The writer.
I walked with her together, but we didn't know each other, of course, you know. And again, I must say, to give credit where credit is due. You see, Anne Frank herself did not have so bad for 5 years because she was still in her attic, she still saw the sunshine, she still had her parents, she still had food, and that's why she was able to write the diary because, you know, you have time and all that. That doesn't make it a less hardship. However, if you're going to compare hardships, you never compare somebody's headache to somebody's gallstones. Each one has their suffering. Mm-hmm. You understand? But I am grateful to her that there was a diary, because if it didn't come to that, if people would not find that diary, you would never know about it. You would, but you wouldn't know, you know, the whole story. She brought this to life. So that's what I'm thankful for her.
She made the theme recognized, that's
exactly.
For sure.
Nobody would know, so one more person died of one. So you know the Holocaust happened, bingo, finished. But she actually brought it to light, that people started talking about it and realizing what it was. So I was in Bergen Belsen in 1945, April 15th. In fact, I always laugh when I say I have 2 birthdays. How lucky can you be? One when I was born, and one April 15th, because I was reborn. You understand? I was reincarnated. Okay?
Definitely, because what happened April 15? What happened?
We were liberated. I was liberated.
What does it mean liberated? In that, because you were walking so many days in the cold.
No.
And
we didn't even know when the war was end. We had no idea what was going on in the outside world. That's first. Second of all, we were not even capable of thinking. We were just capable of laying there. Maybe we'll get up and maybe we won't. You understand? But when April 15 came, I was liberated by the English army. You see, Auschwitz...
Not the Soviet, the English army.
The English. Okay. Because there were three, the Soviet, the English, and the American. The Auschwitz was liberated first in January. I was liberated in April. And I believe on the American zone it was in May. I'm not sure. Because each of the allies, you know, surrounded, and that's what happened. So in Bergen Belsen in 1945, we saw soldiers. We didn't know what they speak. It was English. We didn't know that. And again, we were sent to different camps. It wasn't like this is the end and it's finished. Mm-hmm. After that, we were just sent to DP camps, displaced persons camps.
Displaced persons camps.
Yes. and we were there, and there were lists circulating from the Jewish charities, like the UNRWA and the Joint Distribution Committee, and we had lists in every camp, wherever people were, with names to see maybe you could find somebody. So that's how I found my cousin. Actually, he found me.
So your cousin was somewhere waiting for you and put you on a list?
He was in the American zone. But lists were circulated in every DP camp to see if maybe there is a survivor. You understand? Because I knew my mother died. But there were people who came to us, they don't know, are they alive or are they not? We didn't know.
And your aunt, you were expecting to see your aunt.
I don't know what happened to her. Obviously she died. But my three uncles died in the ghetto from malnutrition with such bumps on their faces and on their carbuncles.
What is that?
That's cysts from malnutrition. I mean, it's so many things. You know, like I said, sometimes I'm thinking myself, am I really a survivor? I doubt myself. You understand? But I know that you would probably ask me the question, so how did you survive? What did you do to survive? Frankly, nothing.
You had maybe a strength of mind that made it possible.
I don't know, because like I told you, you were so disoriented, you were so destroyed, you didn't even think, whoever thought anything about the future? And we never talked about it even among the inmates. Nothing. You just see how to survive the day. That's it. And maybe because, like I said, we were well-to-do people, I had a good constitution, physical. I don't know. Or it was maybe that I was young enough. At that point, people who were married, who had children, maybe their hurt were even bigger. Maybe I didn't even realize. You understand?
Maybe it was your destiny.
Maybe. I don't know. However, I did survive, and that was in Bergen Belsen. And then, as I told you, one of my cousins found me. And then before that, I was in Bergen Belsen. And being that I was underage, they registered me to go to England because I was on the English zone. Mm-hmm. And I had all my shots and everything, but I took sick. So I missed the boat. That was it. So then my cousin said, you know what? Why don't you come on the American zone? Because you could go free. You were free. Let's be together. So I did, and I registered for the United States. And that's how I came to the United States, underage, as a child.
How old were you? 17 back then, right?
I was 17 and a half, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, because when I came to the United States, my birthday was 3 days after I arrived, 18. You understand? And my husband too registered, and he came 3 months after me from Germany. But you see, again, I don't know how to put it to you, and I don't know how people will perceive it. When I knew that I was going to go to the United States, I said I have to learn English. Do you know we were still getting rations then, after the war? Yeah.
Why?
Because we were supplied by the charities.
Okay.
We didn't work. I took my ration and I hired a German professor to teach me English.
A German professor.
A German professor, right. Do you understand? Maybe that's why I survive, because I do not hold, I don't forget, but I don't hold grudges. You understand? I don't know, maybe yes, I don't know. That's how I feel. And he taught me English, the little that I knew, so that when I was on the ship, we were 1,000 people on the ship, I already translated from the different languages to English.